to get back to Keith's point, okay? Because you have not executed the transfer, you can simply press the call button where they're on hold and pick them back up and manage the call at that point, asking, do they want voicemail or not, okay? The next move is to transfer to voicemail. So if I've picked up the person, Dan's not available, would you like voicemail? I press the button and got him, Dan's not available, would you like voicemail? This very bottom button, which is not currently programmed, is going to be voicemail. So voicemail, transfer, hit the voicemail key, Dan's extension, and hang up. You don't have to announce that because the next thing the caller's going to hear is, hello, you've reached Dan, leave a message. Okay? So that's transferring a call. A question about transferring a live call.
I always thought that there was a case where I was calling people and I went right to voicemail. We'll transfer you the minutes right to voicemail.
Well, I mean, you can. If you transfer to an extension and they don't answer it, after you bring them back and say he's not available, would you like his voicemail? You can hit the transfer key again and dial 7220, and it will ring to the caller 4 more times and then go to voicemail. So the more efficient way to do it would be to hit the voicemail key and the 4-digit number and go right to voicemail. So you wouldn't subject your callers to that 4 ring. That 4 rings again. But it will work. You won't be messing up when you do it. It just won't be there right away. Does that make sense? So, the things to know, or just to bring them to light, Dan's extension is 7220. His mailbox is 7220, which is common in the telephony industry anyway. So, if you're going to tell this phone to transfer to another phone, you're going to hit your transfer button to a phone to ring. If you're going to send it to voicemail, you're going to hit your voicemail button at the bottom of the line up here, and then the same 4-digit number. Okay? One thing that's not on your sheet is transferring to hold. If you're looking for somebody, if you have somebody on your phone that needs to talk to Keith and won't be put off. I want to speak to Keith, I want to speak to Keith, I want to speak to Keith. Okay? And it's important. I go to transfer to you and you don't answer. I pick them back up and then I say, hang on, I'm going to try to find him. I hit my transfer button, Keith's extension, and then press hold. And what that does is that moves the call and parks it on his extension. I'm using that term because you guys are used to, some of you guys are used to using park. But it's on your extension. The very next move I make is I press 970 and say, Keith, you have an urgent call on hold on your phone. Does that make sense? So everybody knows what your extension is. That's the theory there. You don't have to remember a park. Did he say whatever park number? I just don't know where he is, and then I'll have to find you, tell me what park number is. You don't have to do that anymore. You just let Keith know he's got a call on hold on his phone.
Now, does Keith have to go back to his phone
Nope.
to get that?
Nope. You think I'd pages say that. So any phone, so he might be behind closed doors in a conference room and he heard it and he's going to pick it up, step away or whatever. If he's in anybody's office, he can hit the circle X key, okay, and 4, which is reverse transfer, and his extension, and it'll pull the call to you. Okay, so in your matrix, you're going to see 4 there as your reverse transfer. I'm a little anxious that it may not be 4 because we've been messing with your numbering plan a little bit. But it is a 4. It is a reverse transfer key. If it's not 4, I'll let you know what it is. So they can pull a call. Any call that's ringing, any call is on hold, you can pull to you by hitting circle X, 4, and the extension that's ringing. So the variable that you have to know and does change is where it is. Got to know where it is. Okay, that's why putting it where you know is the best process there. Okay. Now the next stuff. What's the next stuff on the list? Forwarding calls. So that's transferring transferring announce and transfer to hold, forwarding calls. You have a forward all button here that you press if you're going to forward to an outside number or to another extension. Okay? You hit your forward button, forward all. It wants the destination. If it's an outbound call, you have to hit your outgoing button and then the phone number that you want it to go to. So just put a number in there and release the call by hitting your speaker button. And now this phone will not ring. Any calls made to this 4-digit extension will make an outbound call to that cell number. At that point in time, the call is no longer in the phone system. It is going to be at your cell phone. If your cell phone is answered or your cell phone voicemail is answered, it'll be there. Okay. I don't see you guys using this a lot. Some people may or may not. To turn it off, as you see, it's red once you forwarded it. Simply press it again and then release it, and it's canceled. Okay.
Is there a way to speed dial that, so if I do it frequently, so
So-
I'm in and out of the office?
Stand by.
Yeah.
There's dynamic extension.
Extension, yeah. So
Something set up. for
we're going
the
to talk
sales
about that in
people.
a second. This is just your old school forward. I'm forwarding. This phone won't ring. All phone calls out are out. They're done. You don't have any record of them anymore.
If I forward, if I'm John and I'm out for a week and I forward my extension to Keith, does Keith see it coming from John's extension? Customer calls John on his DID. John's forwarded to Keith. Does Keith see it? Incoming call from John Graham's extension.
And are you asking me if the calling ID propagates?
Does it propagate from the customer outside number, or does it propagate from John?
That I
Graham's?
don't know until we test that. And I told Kip that as well. I don't know that. There are two things that are in play, I at least know on the sales side, that may keep the number propagating, and that's because I branded their phones with their DID.
Correct.
That's one place. The other place is, not all calls you get the number, okay? But if I set everything to propagate and we test it, then I'll know that answer. You may get the DID from the billing telephone number 7200 or whatever this billing telephone number is. I think you're gonna get the caller ID propagated, except I'm not sure about the salespeople because I've branded and overridden that. We'll test that, and it's also the same answer when you're doing dynamic extension. Okay. So, any question about the forward? Because we're going to come back to more feature-rich things that are available to you. Placing a conference call, the ad hoc conference calls that are on the phones, if you're just going to pull a conference call together really quick. The conference button on your phone is the third one up from the bottom. When you are in a call with Mr. Smith and you're actively talking on call line 1, I'm talking to Mr. Smith, hang on, let me get Mr. Jones. I press my conference button, to which I'm going to get internal dial tone, okay? I then have to press an outgoing button. When I do, my second call button lights up and I make my call to Mr. Jones. Conference like transfer, when I press conference, Mr. Smith goes on hold, okay? With Mr. Smith, once Mr. Smith is on hold, and after I hit press conference, I hit my outgoing button, get an outside trunk, call Mr. Jones. You need to wait for Mr. Jones to answer, and this is why. Because right now I have, before he answers, I have call button 1, Smith on hold, call button 2, I'm calling Jones. Jones answers, you press your conference twice, and all of your lights go up to line 1. Okay, so the reason I said you wait for Jones to answer is because you don't want to conference Jones's voicemail into line 1. Because you really, he's going to be in your call, your voice is going to be on his message. Just be patient, wait for the second caller to answer. If they don't answer, all you have to do, much like a transfer that doesn't want to be completed, you press call button 1 again and you've got Smith. Like he wasn't available, we'll have to try him later, or whatever may be the case. You can also conference internal people internally. Okay? Same thing comes to play. You can't hit, once you have a call in play, you hit conference, you bring in Dave, or you bring in somebody who you need to bring into the call, press conference twice, and rock and roll. Just really quick, ad hoc. Once you get them together, you don't know if they hung up, you can't control them, you can't. So it doesn't replace the elaborate bridging capabilities that you have right now, at least ad hoc doesn't. You do have Meet Me conference that we spoke about, but we haven't got phone numbers together, and once that comes into reality, we'll distribute all of that.
Conference on the new system is just like Join Me on the old system.
Okay.
That's what Cisco called it, but it's identical to what you just went over.
Okay. The Meet Me conference is a DID number,
Right.
a
That you
phone
assign.
number that's assigned to an internal device that once you dial the 10-digit number, it hits the internal device and you hear, "Welcome to my teleconferencing. You have an access code, you have an access code, you all have access codes." And it'll tell the caller, enter your access code. They enter the access code.
Then
So
we get
if-
rid of our
But we
conference
traditionally
No.
don't do that because we don't have enough lines, so we don't.
You
allow-
only have 23 lines and it is trunk intensive.
Right.
But it does offer 23. So if you're just gonna have callers call in as opposed to calling them, they can call into the number, enter your access code, and you can also change your access code to be discreet if you choose.
We will revisit that if we need.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is not rolled out, but it's a feature. Next thing, we're gonna skip voicemail on your sheet. We're gonna talk about do not disturb and then paging, and then we'll go to voicemail. And then talk about the feature-rich stuff. Your do not disturb button is the very first programmable button on your phone. The engineers have seen fit to give you 20 reasons why you're in do not disturb. Mine is do not disturb. So once you press it and select it, you hit your scroll button, which is your volume button. The very first one is do not disturb, and again with your speaker button, release it. This phone is now in do not disturb, as you can see is indicated by your button being red. Okay? The phone will not ring. Any calls sent to it, it will go directly to voicemail. It will not ring. Do not disturb is do not disturb. Nobody except internal calls on the system, no, only calls in system. Phones in system will see this display. The ladies at the console, though, will see it. So if they're getting a call into the main number, which is the dispatch, and you're at lunch or you're in do not disturb, they will see on their console, on their My Client console, that phone is in do not disturb. They will see the condition of your phone.
And they can't page you anyway to it.
They can't page you to
I mean,
it?
they can't even call you if they wanted to, or can they still?
They can take you out of do not disturb.
Okay.
They can if it's urgent. They can.
Better be nice to them.
With an internal call on do not disturb, if I was calling Keith, would I see that
It would
he's?
say, it would actually give you that display
Okay.
message at lunch, on vacation, or whatever.
Okay.
And it would, you can still transfer calls to it, and then of course they would go right to voicemail. They wouldn't ring. But you cannot, intrude. There are functions, and I can set certain people with the capacity to override do not disturb, and at this point in time, nobody has that capacity except at the console. Okay. But again, I would use it if it makes sense to do so. I guess this gentleman was training, when he's in training, he turns it do not disturb. Again, manually, anything you manually do to this phone, you have to manually undo, such as forwarding and do not disturb. So you would just press it, and it automatically goes off on this model. Okay? Okay. Paging is, again, I instructed you, it's 97, not 70, it's 970. All phones are currently in that zone. I would encourage you, if there's cube farm arrangements where you have a bunch of phones sitting on top of each other, you may want to keep your volumes, just normal stuff that you would do anyway, your volumes down a little bit, because it's gonna, bust. I don't know how often you do that. Probably not very often.
We don't have it today.
Okay, it's gonna be a fun road. No singing. No, just kidding. Any question about the phone? Okay.
Can we upload like snippets for ringtones?
No, you only get ringtone. I'm glad you said that though, because we can cover ringtones. 398 is your feature code to change your ringtone, and it is just pitch and speed.
So if I wanted to hear the best around every time,
No, you hit your infinity symbol and dial 398. It asks you which ringtone you want, and you choose by pressing your keypad. Higher end numbers are high squealies. I don't like them ever. I like the low baritones. I think 5 is where it is standard default.
Doctor's office.
So 0 is off. If you accidentally hit 0, you have turned your ringer off. And the next thing you'll see is a flashy light. My phone didn't ring. And then you'll call me. Like, turn your ringer off. 398. Turn it back on. Which one do you want?
5's fine.
Okay, if you just leave it there, it'll keep it.
I gotta upload my ringtone.
Yeah. You gonna figure that out? Let me know.
Can you turn off the ringer for certain callers?
No. It's on off.
yeah, I don't feature you need.
No, I have a feature for you. It's called Don't Answer. Because you're going to have caller ID like you probably do.
Are we having our voicemail still go to email?
Yes. That's the feature.
Nice.
Right.
How do we did we set that up, or is that
It's already
happening
set up.
for everybody? Nice. I love that.
So that's all on the phone. Now, setting up voicemail. What's your extension?
I have one more question.
Oh, sorry.
if I'm leaving the office, sometimes I forward that phone to my cell phone, so I don't miss a call. How do I do